there is a lot about what you can school into people. The Future Leaders Programme, the stuff that the IOF does, is really important. But I think the most important thing is around behaviour, and it is about outlook. It is about going to your team and getting permission to lead. Without that, you will be like I was at 6:30 this morning, dragging my family around the block, getting her out of her warm bed, her looking at me, and she did not give me permission to lead. I was dragging her, we've got to go, I'm going to be late. That's pretty much bad leadership encompassed. But I was thinking about how the great leaders that I've worked with have been. 15 years ago, fundraisers were on a continuum. We were either shallow, we were fun, we were celebrity driven, or at the other end of the continuum we were a necessary evil. We were, you have to put up with them because we've got to have money, because we've got to pay the bills. You know, the service staff, the researchers, the policy wonks, they were the leaders. They shunned their shoes, they wore suits, they never smiled. But today's successful charities, the fundraisers are the leaders, and I think that's probably my plea for you today, is that isn't just the recession where people kind of have to listen to us a little bit more. It's that we are the glue that brings organisations together. If you look at the brands of the big charities, Cancer Research UK have just opened an institute called the Crick Institute, which is about 100 metres from here, which a lot of people think is the most important medical research organisation, institute in the world. That's not their brand. Race for Life is their brand. £2 a month with their brilliant new ads is their brand. You know, we're just about to be overtaken by pictures of Lenny Henry in a red nose, or you know, the new Macmillan ads. Those are the brands, and this is the embodiment of what charities are and how they see themselves. So my plea really is that we take what is special. The voluntary sector started with people baking cakes and raising money. But if you don't understand, and if your colleagues don't understand, that a group of women who have lost their best friends to cancer or heart disease or dementia, who get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to make jam, to put on cakes that they sell in the church hall so that they can raise money for Cancer Research UK or VHF or Alzheimer Society, because that is all that they can do. If your colleagues don't understand that, they will never respect you. But it's really important that every opportunity that you have to make people aware that that is what fundraisers do, and that's what we are here to do, because that is our charities and that is our brand. The more you are putting yourself in a position of leadership in the organisation, which is really necessary. And I've got a few examples. I was asked for anecdotes to show really a little bit about what is good and what is bad. I met this lady called Joan, whose husband was diagnosed with dementia at 52, which isn't that far away from me, and just a bit scary, really. And this is a woman who would get up in the morning, would fundraise for us, so that she could have this service that we have called Singing for the Brain. We didn't have enough money for it. It was going to close down. This woman is the primary carer to a man who sadly now is quite at the end stages of dementia, and she won't be able to look after him anymore. But she gets up and does the most bizarre fundraising. She probably works as many hours a week on fundraising as I do, because actually it's that 1 hour a week when he sings and he can remember Beatles songs and he can remember Christmas carols, but he can't remember her name or the name of his children, that she has her husband back. Now, when that happens, sit in front of your colleagues, because you will all have examples like that, sit in front of your colleagues and say, this is why we need fundraising, this is what we're doing, and put yourself in that leadership position. If that woman gives you anything, it's not just money, it's about the mandate to be able to say, this is why donors are important and this is how donors are important. I've got some colleagues about how we take that permission to lead with colleagues. I met another lady in one of our services, and she'd done a bunch of fundraising for us, and she came up to me and was shocked, and she said to me, she went, I've raised all this money because my husband passed away. She said, but I have a bit of a concern that my money is going to full cost recovery payments and I want to set up a restricted fund. And this was a lady, probably 70, and I thought, how do you know those terms? If I didn't work in a charity, I wouldn't know those terms. And of course, well, how she knew them was from the service staff who were snaffling away, and they were talking about that, saying, well, if you set up a restricted fund, then it doesn't have to go to those bleeding fundraisers in head office. That's the worst kind of leadership behaviour. But I also have a community fundraiser who has shown incredible leadership. She's in the Isle of Wight, and she's been trying for ages to find out what we're doing in the Isle of Wight. And we've just been awarded Lloyds Banking Group Charity of the Year. And she was in the branch, and my mum walked into the branch, Alzheimer Society, raising money. The acorn didn't fall far from the tree with me and my mum. So my mum went up to her and went, my daughter is your fundraising director this month. This poor community fundraiser. Oh no. But my mum said, almost immediately, she went, I can't find out how much money is being spent in the Isle of Wight, and I want to be able to tell these people what it's doing. So, about 10 minutes before I was going into finance committee, I get a call from my mum. I should have rejected it, but oh no, I never learned. So, I'm a good daughter. Picked up the phone. She's like, I was in the Lloyds Bank in Freshwater, and I met this lovely girl. She says that you don't give her the information she needs to do her work. And how can I do it? And she went, they're selling pictures of, and I kid you not, the cobbler's knob. And I went, what is the cobbler's knob? Now, I started my career in fundraising at Terence Higgins Trust, so we did fundraising like that back in the day. But apparently it's a local landmark in the Isle of Wight. I don't know, this guy in the Lloyds Bank took some photos of local landmarks, and he was selling them. And he'd paid for the printing, and he'd paid for the frames, and he was selling them, but he wanted to know how his money had gone. And what I really liked about my community fundraiser is that she'd seen this opportunity and she'd gone, bingo, I can never get in touch with this one because she's far too locking herself in her office away. But used that as an opportunity and brought together the service staff, and of course, because it's my mum and I want a quiet life, I found out that information. And that's what we're doing. And I think that what that community fundraiser did was she gave herself permission to lead. And I think that is one of the most important things we can do. And I'd like to finish by talking about a colleague of mine, not in my organisation, but outside, that we've all been reading quite a lot about, and it's a gentleman called Giles Pegram, CBE. I don't agree with everything that has been said in the last week or two. I certainly don't agree with the reporting of it, and I don't agree with some of the comments that are written. But every single one of us stand on the shoulders of Giles Pegram and what he did at NSBCC. He has an ambition for you, for me, because he has an ambition for us as an organisation. And I think it's kind of been a bit heartbreaking seeing somebody who I look up to so much talked in that way. And I think that we need leaders like that in the sector. I think we need people who want us to push. We may not have to agree always with what they say, because you don't have to always agree with your leaders, but if you're giving them permission to lead, you know that they're doing it in the right interest. So I continue to give Giles Pegram the right to lead me and the permission to lead me. And I think if we do that as a sector, we will continue to raise more money and do more good. Thank you very much.